What's happening, folks? Back with another music video reaction, and we're going to watch another one from Depeche Mode, and for this occasion I chose Blasphemous Rumours, a track from their 1984 album Some Great Reward, which, at least on the American version of the record, is the final track, which is to say, Sire, the company that released Mute Record albums here in the States, would sometimes mess around with the track listing, take out a song, put in a different one based on perceptions of the viability in the American music market, sometimes to great error to my mind. Nevertheless, this is the final track on the record. I think it's fantastic. As a kid, I just enjoyed it sonically. Again, when it came out, I was like 3 or 4 years old, and it was only in the subsequent years, as I kept re-listening to the early Depeche Mode albums, that the, let's say, cultural, religious, and philosophical weight of the tune began to dawn on me. And yes, ultimately, I spent a lot of time talking about the lyrics in my audio reaction for the song, so I won't recapitulate that all here. I will just say that it speaks to the divergence of a physical or empirical why with the metaphysical why that one might ask if you adhere to a belief system that deals with right and wrong, morality and immorality, and things happening for a reason. And so the song speaks to a teenage girl whose life is chaotic, tries to take her own life, it doesn't work, and then she changes the way she's living, becomes more pious, but then is killed shortly thereafter in a seemingly random event of unnecessary violence. And the mother, who is very religious through all of this, is trying to cope and understand and grieve in a way that would fit within her worldview. So I think it's a very profound tune, and I think very indicative of the way that only 3 years after they began, with a lot of songs about relationships and love, and there's nothing wrong with that, but by this time they had already started to diversify and get more nuanced and philosophical in their lyrics. I do think it's interesting that this track, which is not particularly blasphemous or muckraking, was nevertheless banned on some radio stations and seen as a bit inappropriate or taboo. Ultimately, another thing that stands out to me before we listen to it is that the divergence or dichotomy between the heavy and dark sounding verse sonic arrangement and then the much lighter, almost happy sounding chorus sections is so stark and so dramatic. And one more note that I just thought of is the way that, a lot of synth pop songs, a lot of pop songs, they have verse 1, chorus 1, verse 2, chorus 2, and they just sort of go back and forth between those two parts. This track, to the best of my knowledge, I haven't listened to it in a hot minute here, but to the best of my knowledge, we get verse 1, chorus 1, then an interlude, and it goes right back into the chorus again before we then get verse 2. So a little bit of a non-standard song structure. In any case, let's watch the video, which, as I always do when I watch these videos, and I don't remember ever seeing this, because again, when I was a kid, I just had cassette tapes and I wasn't really watching MTV or anything like that. I always wonder, is it going to be performance footage from concerts? Is it going to be performance footage rather in a studio? Or will there be some form of visual narrative, or maybe a mixture of those three different concepts? So we'll see what's on offer. This is Depeche Mode and the official music video for Blasphemous Rumours, a track from their 1984 album Some Great Reward.